Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Aaron and Ezra show, all the way from Toronto, Canada. Today, we're going to share with you all a little scary story about a very, very, very great man that lived 1,000 years ago. We all know that when we learn Chumash, we learn Chumash with Rashi and Rav Shlomo Yitzchaki. He had children. He had many daughters, and they all helped him write everything. He had the Rashbam, Rav Shmuel ben Meir. He had the Rivam, Rav Yitzchak ben Rav Meir. He had Rabbeinu Tam, and each one had their own yeshiva. Rabbeinu Tam, who was very famous from all the students, he only got to see his grandfather Rashi until he was the age of 5. But at the age of 5, they started to fight, and they tell the end of time. There's so many machloket, so many disputes in halacha, not fighting like kids fight to beat up one another and to be not nice. But in halacha, Rabbeinu Tam argues with Rashi a lot. But Rabbeinu Tam had in his yeshiva a person that his name was Rav Shimshon. And Rav Shimshon was known to be a tremendous genius. And he was one of the best students in the yeshiva. But he was so poor. He had no money. But he had a brother. His name was Chaim, Rav Chaim. He was very, very rich. And this brother of Chaim, he made a deal with Rav Shimshon. And he said to him, I will support you. And you'll learn Torah, and I'll go do business. Just like Yisachar and Zvulun, sometimes brothers love each other so much and they care about each other. And one is better at work and one is better at business. There's sometimes people have more and sometimes people have less. And the people that have more have to help the people that have less. And this brother of Chaim used to take care of his brother of Shimshon. And they were like Yisachar and Zvulun. Rav Chaim came over to Rav Shimshon one day and he said to him, please, I'm going on a big business trip. I would like your company. Please come with me. And Rav Shimshon said to him, thank you so much for the offer, but I'm going to kindly decline. I'm in the middle of my learning. I'm teaching. I really don't have time for business. Thank you so much. And every day he started to ask him, please join me. It will help my business, all this. Finally, he asks him after so many times, he says, I'm always helping out. One time I ask you to come with me. You're not going to come with me? Help me. So Rav Shimshon heard him and said, you know what? If it means so much to you, and I really appreciate all the help that you give me and my family, I'll come with you on a trip. Great. So they go to the ocean. They were in France. And they were taking a boat all the way to England. England is an island off of France. At some points, England is just like 30 miles away, which by car would only take you a half hour to get there. But by sea, it's very dangerous. And in some points, it could be like a couple of 100 miles away. Rav Chaim tells to Rav Shimshon, we're going on this trip. And it's not the ships like today. 1,000 years ago, the ships were made out of wood, and they were much smaller, and they had sails. You know what sails? They had like a tall stick coming up from the center of the ship, and when the wind blows, it takes a big sheet, and it blows at the sheet, and that sheet pulls against this big stick coming out of the center of the ship. And therefore, the ship pushes forward because the wind is blowing it. And there are times the wind's blowing the wrong way. So they have to go left and then they have to go right and try to get a little closer to where they want to be. But they can't go head on with the wind because then they'll be going home. And then there are sometimes, kids, that the wind doesn't blow at all. Like, you go outside to play, it's not windy at all. And then the ship just sits and sits and sits. And it could take a very long time, for days, the ship can just sit and go nowhere. And then there are times that the wind can come and blow the ship, and it goes so fast, so fast, but it can go to the wrong place. Anyway, while they were on this ship, and they're going and they're enjoying the fresh air, Rav Chaim says to Rav Shimshon, you know what? Let me tell you why we're going to England. Because I want to buy some horses, and the horses I want to bring to France and sell them. If I buy horses in England, it's cheaper, and I bring them to France. So Rav Shimshon said to him, well, don't you know that France and England are at war? At that time, there was a very big war going on. And he says, and where are you going to find these horses from? He says, oh, I know this guy. Tell me about this guy, because there's nobody in England that's selling horses to France, because they're going to use him as a tank, as a war machine against the other country. Tell me what's going on. Rav Shimshon started to raise his voice, and Rav Chaim says, okay. I know this guy that knows a guy, that knows another guy, that knows another guy, that knows another guy. And he found the horses. Found the horses? Nobody finds horses. Did he steal the horses? Maybe he didn't steal it, but he borrowed them from a very long time. Borrowing for a long time is stealing. What are you doing? For a couple of dollars, you're going to go buy horses that were stolen? And it's not only that. And we're the Jewish people. If we bring stolen horses from the enemy, that means we stole horses from England, brought it to France. They're going to catch us, and they're going to say we're the enemies of the country because these are stolen horses. Well, can you imagine what kind of bad news this would bring to all of the Jewish people in France and in London and in England? Oh no. And all of a sudden, Rav Shimshon looks up to Shemayim and he davens to Hashem. And he says, Yehi Ratzon Rabbeinu Shel Olam, Master of the universe. This ship will never make it to England. And we will never have the test of buying stolen horses. And therefore, we won't create more sorrows and more troubles for Am Yisrael. And as soon as these words left his mouth, all of a sudden, there was a tremendous explosion in the sky. And the wind started to blow, and the ship started to shake. And it was bouncing from place to place, from wind to wind, from these deep waves to another deep wave, and they thought the ship was going to die, and they were flying into the Shemaim, and they were falling down, and everyone was getting so nauseous. It was the worst roller coaster ride possible. And after a little while, like a day of this, they found themselves on the outskirts of Africa. And they're like, where are we? Everyone on the ship, how did we get to Africa? And just as they were discovering where they're located in Africa, fire started to break out on 4 sides of the ship. And you know where the fire came from? Pirates. Pirates start shooting at them, fire, and the ship broke out. And they see the pirates are coming, and they say, we're all in trouble. Because, when pirates take a person, then either they kill you or they sell you. They don't care They don't care about you. They're pirates. They steal. They have ships and they go onto the sea, and all they want to do is take things from people. So as they land, the pirates come onto the ship and they start grabbing everybody and they start stealing everything. The pirates take Rav Shimshon and Rav Chaim because they look like they were big and strong and they would be good workers. And they put him onto the boat and they take their own boat and they go to a place in Africa, a certain country. Now, nobody speaks Africano. No one speaks the languages of these people. They don't know how to communicate. But you know what they did? They immediately recognized that these two people are Jewish. Oh, you see, that's so important to always be dressed like a Jew. This way people see this Jew and they said, hey, the Jews in Africa have a lot of money. Maybe they'll pay for a lot of money for these Jews. Jews like to spend money. And they get to they land in Africa and they get off the boat and they take their newfound slaves into a place and they hide them. And they're thinking, how are we going to get money? So they go out to the marketplace and see if there's any Jews. And you know what? Because there was always Jews that were being captured, the Jewish communities every week would go out to into the marketplaces and see, are there any new prisoners or slaves that are Jewish? And it's called Pidyon Shvuim, to redeem people that were taken captives. And their life is at the line, because if nobody wants to buy them, then what happens is they don't want to feed them, they kill them. So if this is scary for you, boy, this is going to get worse. So they go out to the marketplace. The Jewish community goes out and they see, oh wow, look at that. There's two people, Rav Shimshon and his brother. So Rav Shimshon comes over to the pirates and says, listen, let me go with these Jews for Shabbat. Let me talk to them, let me speak to them, and then maybe they'll want to pay you money for us. He says, I'm not going to run away, but you have my brother here. And Rav Chaim says, yeah, it's a good idea because he's a big Talmud Chacham, and maybe they'll want to save us because he's a Talmud Chacham. So he went with these people from this certain community in Africa. You know which community it was? Algeria. Have you ever heard of Algeria? Have you ever heard of a country called Morocco? Have you ever heard of a country called Libya? In between, there's a country called Algeria. And in this country, in Algeria, there were some very, very big tzaddikim. And near this, there was a country called Tunis. And there's a place called Cherba. And in all of these countries, there were a lot of big Jews. I remember when I was in Cherba, we went to the shul in the El Harir section of and this shul, El Harir, was built from Shlomo HaMelech. Shlomo HaMelech, which was was over 2,500 years ago. More than 2,500 years ago, he built the shul, and in the shul that I was at, it said on the cornerstone, this shul was built as a messenger, b'shlichus of Shlomo HaMelech, through Avner ben Ner, one of his assistants. When you learn Tanakh, you'll recognize these names. So in these communities, they used to go always to the pirate market and see, is there a Jew? Is this a Jew? Shalom Aleichem, Shema Yisrael. So they would ask the Jews a couple of questions, and if they answered right, they knew that there was a Jew, and they would want to help them very much. And as soon as Rav Shimshon saw the other Jews, obviously they were dressed very different than the Jews in Europe. The Jews in Africa wore jalabiyas, long white linen robes, and the Jews in Europe wore these black coats. But they started to talk, and they started to ask Rav Shimshon questions, and they realized that he's a big Talmud Chacham. So they gave some money to the pirates, and they took him for Shabbos. And when Rav Shimshon went to the shul on Shabbos, they asked him to say a Dvar Torah because they didn't have a rabbi. And he got up and he said the most beautiful Dvar Torah. And he started teaching them Torah a whole day, a whole Shabbos. And everyone was so amazed by the wisdom and how smart Rav Shimshon was. And from other towns, they started hearing and they started coming. And Rav Shimshon was very happy to share Torah with the Jews of Africa. And Motzei Shabbos came, and they started to collect money because they said they can't leave Rav Shimshon alone with the pirates. And they collected a certain amount of money. It was a lot of money. And they went to the pirates. And the pirate says, "No, I want more money. Not enough money." And Rav Shimshon says, "It's not enough money. I want that my brother should also be with me. I don't want that he should not be part. He shouldn't be free." And the community didn't have enough money. So Rav Chaim started to beg Rav Shimshon and say to him, "Listen, my brother, for many, many years, I took care of you. I paid you so you could learn Torah. Hashem will protect you. Let them redeem me for less money because I'm not worth as much as you. And I'll go home and I'll support the family until Be'ezaz Hashem, one day there'll be an opportunity for you to get home." And Rab Shimshon heard the cries of his brother, and he felt very big hakaras hatov, thanks, because he took care of him for many, many years. And he said to him, "Okay." And at that point in time, they redeemed Rab Chaim, and Rab Shimshon became a slave. He became a worker. And Rav Shimshon, as a worker, he wasn't really the best of workers, but he was a very smart worker. And another person came, he was an Arab, and he bought it. And he bought Rav Shimshon to this Arab sheikh from Africa. And this Arab sheikh from Africa says, "I'm on my way to Egypt. I need some extra people to help schlep the different things. Let him come with me." Rav Chaim went home. He got onto the next ship and went back to England and said that, Rav Shimshon was sold as a slave. And we don't know where he is, but you should all know that he's alive. And Be'ezah Hashem, because he's such a big Talmud Chacham, Hashem's going to make special miracles for him. And this Arab was schlepping Rab Shimshon all over Alexandria of Mitzrayim. And he was considered the most trustful servant of this Arab. And while he was the servant of this Arab, he saw so many Jews that were so rich. And he never told them that he was Jewish. And he never told them that he was a Talmud Chacham. And you know why? Because Torah is not there, so a person should take advantage of it. He never wanted to take advantage of the Kitra Shel Torah, the crown of Torah. And this guy that was living in Egypt, he liked Rab Shimshon, and this guy started to make a plan. At this time, in Eretz Yisrael, there was a war, a big war between Richard the Lionheart. He was the king of England, and he was a very angry man. And he wanted to conquer Eretz Yisrael with the Crusaders. And the Islamic people didn't want it. And there was a very powerful king in Syria by the name of Salah ad-Din. And Salah ad-Din went to war on Jerusalem to take over the country to own Jerusalem. That's what every nation wanted. The church wanted to conquer Yerushalayim, and Islam, the Arab world, wanted to have Yerushalayim, because whoever had Yerushalayim, it meant that their religion was true. We never had to say that, where we know Am Yisrael is true. We had Matan Torah, and the Goyim never had a Matan Torah. They had a guy that woke up and said, "Hey guys, I met an angel last night and he gave me a book," and everybody believed him. And then they had another guy that said that he was the savior of the world, and he couldn't even save himself. Loser. So these two religions are always at war. And this Islamic sheikh made a plan. And his plan was, he was going to take from Alexandria of Egypt, he was going to take a boat all the way to Akko. And in Akko, he would meet with the garrisons of Richard the Lionheart, a very vicious king. And he's going to say, I came with a lot of people because I want to convert from Islam to Christianity. And then he'll get closer to the king because he was a rich man, this Arab. And when he gets close enough to the king, he'll kill the king. That was his plan. Now, Rav Shimshon Mekutzi, he understood Arabic because it's very similar to Lashon HaKodesh and to Aramite. And he spoke French and he spoke English because he was from France. Richard the Lionheart also spoke French because his son-in-law was from France. When they made peace with France, his son married the queen's daughter. And therefore there was an alliance between France and London and England. So the king, Richard the Lionheart, was now in Akko, building up an army to go attack Jerusalem. This Muslim guy, Sheikh Abdul Habla, takes his entire entourage with Rav Shimshon Mekutzi, and they get on the boat from Alexandria and they go all the way to Akko. Akko is the northern part of Eretz Yisrael, all the way in the north. When they get off the boat in Akko, they take off all their stuff and they go to a local hotel, and he starts to openly say that he converted from Islam to Christianity, and they start introducing him to all the different royalties of the knights of shining armor, that they were coming from the Christian religion. And Rav Shimshon Mekutzi is watching all of this, and he's listening. When this Sheikh Abdullah finally came and met the king, Richard, they spoke, and he told him he's dedicated to the religion. He's now no more Muslim, and from now on his name is going to be Frank. Frank, my name is Frank. I want to be a Frank. Anyway, but he was faking it. And he got a little army, and he walked through the palace of the king, and he saw all the doors and all the places, and then he planted a plan. Now Rav Shimshon Mekutzi watched all of it. And Rav Shimshon Mekutzi realized that they're in the hotel across the street, and he could see the room of the king, Richard the Lionheart. And he sees what's going on, and he hears that at that night, at midnight, they're going to charge into the palace of the king, and they're going to kill him. So Richard the Lionheart, he was really English, but he spoke French, and he was able to read French. Back in the day, a lot of people didn't know how to read French or speak French. It wasn't such a common language unless you lived in France. And Rav Shimshon spoke English, and he spoke French, and he had many, many brilliant wisdoms that he had. So he took a rock, and he took a piece of paper, and he tied the piece of paper to the rock, and he wrote on the paper, "Dear King, tonight at midnight, they're going to attack you. Prepare for battle." And he takes the rock with the paper tied to it, and he throws it with all his might, and it crashes through the window of where the king is staying. And the king gets up, says, "What's that crash?" And he goes over, and he finds a rock, but on the rock, tied to it, there's a piece of paper. And on that piece of paper, he opens it up, and he sees, "Dear King, tonight at midnight, you're going to be attacked, and they're going to come and try to conquer and kill you." Oh no. The king realizes that something is wrong, and he hides many, many army men in the palace quietly. And as 11 o'clock comes by, there's more soldiers secretly coming into the palace and hiding behind doors, hiding in the ceiling, hiding in the basement, hiding everywhere, so that when the attack comes, there'll be so many people. Because Muhammad, he only counted like 20 guards. So he figured if he comes with 30 guards, he'll be able to take the king out. So all of a sudden, bong, it was midnight. And that his Islamic people started to rush quietly into the courtyard of the king. And then they start climbing into the palace of the king. And they start the attack. And they start charging, figuring that now they're going to get the king. What they didn't know is as soon as they came in, the door's locked. And no one could leave. And then all of a sudden they realize, like, whoa, there's so many guards. And they clutched them all. And Richard the Lionheart started to kill one by one. And finally the sheikh was in his hands. And he says, "You faker, you tried to plan to kill me. But Hashem had other plans for me. And now," he took him and he threw him off the roof of the palace. And he hit the floor and went splat like a tomato. And it was blood everywhere. It was uchi and fuchi. Anyway, but the king now says, "Who is the person that threw the rock? I need to find that person." The only way to find out who that person is that we're here now in Akko. There's no French people. We're all English. So the person that knows how to read, they close down the whole city. And they started asking everybody, "Did you write this? Did you throw this rock? Did you?" No, but no. Finally, they came to Rab Shimshon Mikutzi because now his master was dead. He became a free man. And he was walking the streets for the first time, and he didn't have to schlep. They grabbed him. They said, "Did you throw this rock into the window of the king?" Yes. Don't hurt me. The king wants to see you right away." "The king wants to see me?" "Okay." They took Rav Shimshon to the king. And the king started to talk to him in English. And Rav Shimshon answered. And then he started talking to him in Arabic. And Rav Shimshon answered. And then he started speaking to him in French. And Rav Shimshon answered him. And then he says, "Can you read that paper? This paper?" He says, "I wrote the paper. I don't have to see it to tell you what's on it." And he told him, "Dear king, you should know that tonight at midnight there's a plan to come and kill you. So then you're the one that saved my life. Sit down and have a tinu with me." And they started to talk. And Richard the Lionheart realized, I'm not sitting with a regular slave. He reads and writes many languages, and they start talking philosophies and strategies. And he realized that Rav Shimshon Mikutzi was such a brilliant man. He says, I want you to be my right-hand man, my assistant. And wherever I go, you go. And he said, thank you so much. But for the past 12 years, I've been a slave. And it's been very hard for me. And I haven't seen my family. And they're probably very worried about me, if I'm okay, if I'm not okay. Can I please go home first? And then I promise, after I spend some time with my family, we'll do great things together. The king thought about it and he said, you're right. It was selfish of me. Go home to your family. And he immediately called, get me the fastest boat that we have. And I now going to make you the Count of Kutsi. He gave him a whole city, that he became the master, the owner of that city. And therefore he got the name of Rav Shimshon Mikutsi. And Rav Shimshon went home and he met his family and he saw his kids and his wife and and he met his brother Rav Chaim. And he became like a king because he came with all the gusto of all the relationship of being the person that saved the life of the king, Richard the Lionheart. Richard the Lionheart was not a good man, but he had a Hakar Satov. Even if you're not a good person, you can have Hakar Satov. You can say thank you. He was actually not just not nice. He was very, very bad. He was an evil person. But he said thank you, and he took care of Rav Shimshon. And whenever there was an issue between the government and the Jewish communities, Rav Shimshon would go and they would know who he is, a man that saved the king's life, and they'd give him respect. As a result of that, he brought a lot of years of shalom and shalva to Am Yisrael. You see, kinderlach, children, sometimes in life we go through a very, very hard time and we don't see the end, but Hashem has a plan. And when that plan plays out, it's always going to be for the benefit of Am Yisrael. So even though we're going through a little hard time now and we're stuck home, but we have the opportunity to do special things. Whoever needs a refuah shlema, Hashem should send them a refuah shlem. They should feel good. And for all those that are in need of parnasa, and a lot of people lost their jobs. Things are very, very difficult. Hashem should give them a parnasa. Thank you to all for listening to the Aaron and Ezra show all the way from Toronto, Canada.